You know the moment. You're on your own, finally. This time that's completely yours. Your very personal, intimate me time. And it's good. Actually, it's really good. And really, right now, you can just immerse in it so much, and then something flips. A switch. Like somebody's turning off the lights somehow. Somebody's saying, that's enough now. You can stop that. You stop or you don't. But the mood's changed. The feeling has changed. You have a feeling of that you've been caught, that you're guilty, that this is something you should be embarrassed by. Like you've literally done something you have to answer for, to justify yourself. And when you think about it, you couldn't tell me who to. You don't believe you did anything wrong. So why do you feel so guilty about it? About something that your mind threw out years ago? Hi, I'm Damien, and welcome to Tantric Flame. So today we're going to be talking about that guilty feeling when we're enjoying pleasure. Now that can be with a partner or by ourselves. That feeling of I shouldn't be doing this, this is wrong. But there's an underlying thing that's as you're creating this, and that's what we're going to go into today. That's what we're going to touch into today. And once you can understand the reason, once you can see where that comes from, you can start to revert it. You can start to change that guilty feeling. You know, some years ago, I worked with a young lady called Martha. Martha was raised in a very, very, very strict religious environment. When it got to her 20s, she just had enough and she left. She took it all apart, she disseminated it, and she used to say it herself, she was the most secular person you could meet. She really was so unreligious, should we say. I wouldn't say she was agnostic, she was just unreligious. She didn't like the dogma, the doctrine. Yet, after all that time, she still can't be touched without clamping shut, without feeling that tension, like someone's watching her, criticizing, accusing, whether it's with a partner or by herself. She used to say to me, the second it started feeling good, the second she started moving toward that moment, there was this feeling of, stop, that's enough. And she would stop. She didn't even think about it, she just stopped. Which is curious because she said herself she didn't actually believe any of the religious doctrine, any of the religious dogma, and yet it still seemed to hold in her body. It was like there was parts of her body that were automatically had a chastity clamp put on them. And what she couldn't reconcile was how she, a person who had so much walked away from the dogma of religion and the rules of religion, and yet her body was acting as if she was very much in that. In her mind, she was free. In her mind, she knew what she was doing wasn't wrong. It was good for her. But that stopped in her body. The reality is that many years ago, when you were too small to complain, to object, when you were young, somebody put a fence across the middle of you. And on that fence there was a sign, and it just basically said, dangerous, dirty. And you were a child, so you believed it. So that switch, that flip, that feeling of no, enough, of guilt, that switching off before you can even know it's happening, that's you reaching the fence. That's you coming up to that fence line. It's a reflex to a learned behavior from years ago. Like pulling your hand off a hot stove. You don't think about it, you just do it. You don't argue with the flinch. So the stove may be cold, but your hand still reaches back. Because we can change our mind. We can cognitively work through something and think, I don't believe that. I know that's not right. And yet we can still feel it in the body. We still have that flinch when we get near the fence. Now, this isn't about blame. This isn't about the church or faith or family being wrong. That fence was put up with good intention, with the right intention in mind. Nobody intended to wound you. No one intended to frustrate you. They passed on what was passed on to them. And they thought they were keeping you safe. That's what they were trying to do. So that fence got handed down generation to generation, like an heirloom that nobody bothered to talk about. And, one of the most difficult things to do is to know it was never yours. It was never your belief, never your fence. You didn't put it up. Somebody else has decided that and passed it on to you. So you don't have to keep it. So you don't have to take on the pleasure body. The sensual body is dirty, isn't an eternal truth. It's one idea from one very select area of society who have particular fears. And that's the truth of it. People who believe that sensual pleasure is a dirty thing and dangerous have a fear in their mind about what might happen. But when we go deeper into the old teachings, when we look at the old ways like Tantra, these moments of pleasure are the gateway, they are the doorway to a much more sacred experience. So it's not the enemy. That pleasure fully felt, completely immersed in, is one of the ways that you can truly know the holy. You can truly know spirit. The ground beyond the fence is the most sacred ground you have, and it should be protected and revered. It really should. And that was the original intention of the fence. This is a precious area and should be looked after. Not it's an area that no one should go near. It just should be respected. So I'm not asking you to trade one teaching for another. What I'm saying is that the message got filtered over time. And that fence is not a complete blockage. There is a gate in it. You just have to approach the gate in the right way and give it the respect it deserves. When I was dealing with Martha, she would stop me mid-sentence. When she realized that it was never her, that she'd been standing guard at that fence her whole life, but there was nobody on the other side to report her since she was in her 20s. She was keeping herself off her own ground. She was blocking herself. And when she walked out of that session, she didn't walk out completely free. She realized it was there and why it was there, and that was her choice. But that started the ball rolling. That flinch still came. In those moments when she is on her own, enjoying moments of intimacy and pleasure, that flinch still comes. But now she recognizes it for what it is. And she can acknowledge that, okay, it's there, but I'm going to carry on. I know why it's there, and I know that, do you know what? It still feels good. So I'm not doing it to tell it to go away, because that would increase attention. I don't need to get rid of it. I just need to lessen the volume I hear on its voice. And the very fact that you still want pleasure, that your body is speaking to you about enjoying that time to yourself. So you can know that after all the years, after all the shame, you still ache towards it. Why? Because it's natural within you. It's good for you. Even though you know the flinch will come, you still want it. You still want to step beyond into that sacred ground. You don't want to lose the area that's yours. And that part of you that wants, that part of you that desires that pleasure, to journey into that sacred ground, that's the part of you that never once believed the keep out sign, the dirty sign, the danger sign. So, before we move on, you can know this podcast, these episodes are here to clear the static from sensual pleasure. Because very often life piles things up upon us, so we can't feel or enjoy our own sensuality. And once we've cleared the way, once we've got rid of the static, that is certainly a big step towards a deeper sensual pleasure. But clearing the static isn't the same as walking onto the ground beyond. That's a different thing. Now, I have created a standalone audio that you can download and keep, and listen to as often as you like, called Flicker. And Flicker does a different job. This clears the static and opens you up to pleasure. But before we can enjoy that deeper pleasure, we need to reconnect with our sensuality, with our sensual body. And that's the job of Flicker, to make that reconnection so you can enjoy a deeper pleasure. So, this whole time we've been talking, your body has been breathing your lungs, beating your heart. And nobody came to told you to stop it. Nobody came to tell you that you weren't allowed. So I'd like you to do one thing now. Just take a nice deep breath, hold it, and then let it go slowly, relaxing. And let your hand rest somewhere warm, somewhere comfortable. Let it feel good for just 3 seconds. That's it. Notice how nothing happened. Nobody came. You stepped past that sign, the fence. You walked onto your sacred ground and no one came. 3 seconds with nothing and pressure. Of course, that's fairly easy. In the moments of intimacy, that's different, more challenging, but that's what we deal with in the next episode. We'll go deeper into this. For now, that's just a taster, and that's good enough. But during the week, when you have your moments of me time, when you have your moments of pleasure, just stay with the pleasure 1 second longer after the flinch. Every time. Don't fight it. It was there for a reason. Just like Martha did, just acknowledge it and carry on. Just for 1 second longer. And then maybe 2. So it stops being just about a release and becomes more of a sensual experience. Because, the more you move past that flinch, the more that sacred ground becomes yours again. So on Sunday, we're going to walk the fence together. We're going to take a nice stroll around that ground that was always yours and was never once dirty. You can think of it as a phone call to an old friend who you thought had left. So I look forward to seeing you on Sunday. In the meantime, just be gentle with yourself.